So, what does a UX designer do? Let's find out. Your primary role as a UX designer is to ensure that the users of your product or service are satisfied. And what do you do for that? You make sure that all components, design components that you're using on a product are intuitive. For this, you analyze how users interact with your product and you identify if there are any friction points that you need to eliminate. For example, let's say if you're using a mobile app and a user has been given certain menu items from where the person has to search. What if the menu is very small in size? Will the person with a thick finger would be able to click it? No, right? It would be difficult. So that is like a friction point. Maybe not for everyone, but for a few people. So you need to identify, are there any friction points? And for this, you conduct something we call as user research to try to understand what they need, what they like, what they don't like, and how you can improve your interface using that feedback. You usually incorporate this feedback in wireframes first. You create the designs, you create user flows to understand, to document these processes. You need to design UI UX holistically and not just from the aesthetic perspective. It is not solely for UX, but it is more about your users, how they feel. The journey has to be seamless. You could be playing different roles as a UX person. It's not always that you will be called a UX designer. You could have multiple roles. For example, you could be only playing a role of a user experience researcher, where you might not be doing the actual design work, but you'll be doing more of a groundwork, building a foundation. Let's say you understand users, you create a user journey, you document it, you create visual representations of the journey using flowcharts and storyboards. You identify what are the pain points and also where the user seeks pleasure. You document it, you use the quotes of happy users and stories of how users interacted with your products, and then you provide recommendations to the actual design team for improving the user experience or interface. You could also be a UX designer where you will be doing more of a design work. You will definitely need to collaborate with multiple stakeholders. They could be users or the people who are owners of the system or who are involved, administrators. You need to understand them and you need to create the prototype before the actual product is made. As a UX designer, you would be working with tools like Figma, Adobe Creative Suite, Sketch, and there are many more apps. You need to understand not just the design fundamentals, but also the business and marketing principles that you would be using while you are recommending designs or using them. Very strong communication skills are required to have because you need to interact with a lot of people as a UX designer. Then comes a mixed role, you could say. You will be playing a part of a UX designer. You could also be doing a part of UI. In that case, you will have to blend both UI UX. You will be doing the creative work, but you will also be taking care of usability aspects. You will be doing usability testing, taking feedback and doing improvements, taking care of the that designs are not just visually appealing, but they're also user friendly. You require a keen eye for aesthetics as a UX person, and you also need to know how front end development is done to be able to take care of the UI part. There is a specialized role also. This is very popular with product organizations. UI UX product designer. Now, as a product designer, now your forte is not just about taking care of the design, but you go beyond. You need to make sure that your overall product experience of the user is good. That is why you plot the complete product life cycle for your users, and then work on your regular aspects like you do market analysis, market research, user need analysis. You create designs, you do prototyping, user testing, and you ensure that your product is both functional and accessible and creates a great user experience. Another very specialized role which is getting popular nowadays is learning experience designer. Here, your users are the learners who are consuming courses online. So the content that is involved here is an educational content, just like you're consuming right now. It is an educational content where you need to focus on enhancing their learning experience. You need to understand how they would interact with a learning system, how you can engage them. You will be using specialized tools and not just general tools for UX, but e-learning authoring tools you could be using like Articulate. You need to, as when doing the research, you would be doing learning need analysis, and you gather feedback. Based on that, you design your content and also take care of the aesthetics. Okay, so what are the key skills that you require as a user experience designer or researcher or LXD? An eye for aesthetics, definitely. You need to understand how colors work, which colors are actually keeping people motivated, which colors are dull, whatever you want, whatever kind of motivation you want your users to have, accordingly you will use the color. So remember, whenever we are using an app which is about food, orange color, red color, they are very prominently used because they create an effect in you, and they increase your appetite. You want to consume more of food the moment you see orange colors. You need to have an understanding of the users, so you need to have empathy, and empathy just doesn't mean you know what they need, but you understand how they feel when they are saying that they need an app. Maybe let's take an example of Uber. When a user is actually looking for an app, how does a user feel if one takes a lot of time, let's say 3 4 5 minutes, just to find a driver? This is not going to be seamless. This is going to be a friction point. So do you understand the pain point of these users? That is very important for you to have the understanding of as a UX person. Then, of course, you need creative skills because you need to come up with a lot of ideas. You have to also experiment with them and create designs that are fresh. You need to be effective in collaboration because when you are working as a UX person, you need to collaborate with many stakeholders. They could be users, learners, they could be admins, they could be people who are taking care of the functional aspects of business. You need to have expertise in prototyping, especially if you are taking care of UI, UX, both kind of roles, or as a UX designer role, because before actual product is developed, you create a prototype to test that product. Lastly, technical understanding. It's obviously needed. You need to also understand how your product works at the back end. You may be working on the front end, but you need to understand how it will create an impact, and if your design is actually feasible or not. This understanding is pretty much required. You need not go very deep into the technicals, but you need to have enough knowledge. Okay. So thank you very much